Alright guys, here's where it's going to get a little complicated. We're going to implement the shopping cart so that when we click this, we select a quantity, click add to cart, and it'll get added to the cart. Now CodeIgniter actually has a cart library that we'll be using. Let me just pull it up. Okay, so shopping cart class. Alright, so basically you want to load the library. You can either do this or you can add it to your autoloader, which is what we'll do. And you can add an item to your cart, and we do that by creating an array. Okay, so here we have an array with an ID, a quantity, a price, a name, and then options. Okay, and then we're passing that data into the cart class, so we're going to say this cart insert. Alright, and basically what that does is creates a session with a session array and works with that. And it does that all behind the scenes. We only deal with the cart object. Alright, so everything else is pretty much taken care of for us. Alright, to display the cart, okay, so to display it you want to loop through this here, this cart contents as items. Then what you can do is for each product you can display its name, things like that, options if you have them. Here it shows you how to update the cart. Okay, the syntax is pretty simple. This cart update, and you just throw in your data array. Alright, and there's some more information here as well. I'd suggest going over it. I mean, if you like this project and you like CodeIgniter, you like the design pattern, you like MVC, I would definitely suggest that you do some hardcore reading at the CodeIgniter user guide site. You can basically find whatever you want. If you pull down this table of contents, any library, helper, class, whatever, it has it all. Alright, so ultimately if we click add to cart, it's going to go to the cart controller and then the add function or method. So that's what we need to create. So let's go ahead and go into controllers in your application folder and create a new file, and I'm going to call this cart.php. And I said before that a common practice is for controllers to be named plural and models to be singular, but there are exceptions. I wouldn't use carts as a controller name. That just doesn't sound right. There's only one shopping cart on the site, so it only makes sense to have it singular. So you don't have to really stick to that, only when it makes sense. You know, so let's create this class cart extends CI controller. Alright, now we're actually going to have some class properties, which is different from our other controllers. We haven't had that yet. So the first one is going to be public, and it's going to be called PayPal_data, and that's just going to be set to empty for now. And basically that's just going to be it's going to be an array for PayPal to use to be able to move on to the transaction on the PayPal site. And there's going to be quite a bit in this class, especially the process function, where I can't explain every little bit. It's just what PayPal needs for its API to be able to add every single individual product to PayPal, so that you can log into PayPal and see every product, not just the total of your order. Alright, so the next one that we want is going to be tax. Public, we want shipping, and these can be set. I'm going to make it so that you can set these in the configuration file. It's not going to be an advanced shopping cart with weights and things like that. You're just going to have a global tax and global shipping amount. Alright, so then we have total, which I'm going to set to 0, and then we're going to have grand total. Grand total is going to include tax and shipping, things like that. Alright, next we want our index. Alright, so cart index, and basically all we want to do here is load the cart view. So I'm just going to say public function index, and I'm going to just paste this in. It's just going to load the cart view, and we might as well create that now. If we go to views and then create a new file called cart.php, and I'm not going to put anything in there right now. I'm actually going to go back to the controller. Alright, and next is probably the most important cart function, which is add. Alright, so public function add. Alright, so we need to create an array for item data. Okay, data equals array, and let's see, it's going to have an ID, and this is going to be, I'm going to grab it from the post. When we submit the add to cart form, if you remember, we had a couple hidden inputs for the item number, the quantity, the title, and the price. So we're going to get it from the post variables. And in CodeIgniter, you don't use this. I mean, you could, but you don't really use something like this. Use the post superglobal. You can actually use this way. So we can say this input. All right, so we can use the input library post. Post, and then whatever the post name is. In this case, I think it's item number, and we can actually check that if we go to the products view, and this is the form here that's being submitted, and you can see that this hidden value called item number is going to be equal to the product ID. Alright, so this is where our post is coming from. Okay, so that's the ID, or the item number. Next we have the quantity, and that's going to be this input post QTY. Alright, and then next we'll do the price. Okay, price is also coming in from post. Oh. And one final is the name. And in our database, the field is actually called title. So I think that's what I used on the form. Let me check. Yeah, we're using title. Okay, so still keep this name, but here we're going to have input post title. So that is our data array. And if we want to test this, we can say print r and pass in data. Alright, and let's just do a die afterwards. Okay, so if we go back, reload, and let's say we add one Watch Dogs game to our cart. Alright, let's see, unexpected tax, expecting variable, what? Oh, we don't have our dollar signs in front of our variables. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so you can see I submitted the form. I added Watch Dogs, which is the ID of 3. I said one quantity, shows the price, the name, so that's exactly what we want. And if I change this to 3, you can see that now the quantity has changed to 3. So what we want to do with this info is insert it into the cart. So that's what we'll do. Let's just comment this print r out in case we want to use it again. And next we want to insert into cart. Alright, so this is easy. All we need to do is say this cart insert and just pass in that data. Alright, and then we can just redirect to products. Alright, so if we reload, if I click add to cart, call to a, oh, we didn't load the cart library, so let's go to our config auto load, and for libraries, after database I'm gonna do cart. Hopefully that works. Oh, okay, so in order to use the cart you need to use sessions. In order to use sessions you have to have an encryption key in your config file, which we don't, so let's just add that. If we go to config/config.php, go down to sessions, where is it? Okay, and right here, encryption key, and you can put whatever you want and then save it, and that should be good. Okay, so we added it to the cart, but there's no way for us to see that. What I want to do now is update this cart block so that it'll loop through our cart items. So let's go to the sidebar, and where our cart is right here. It's this table. Alright, so we're going to leave the headings. I'm going to actually go from here to here and paste this in. Alright, so basically we're setting a counter here, so I equals 1, and then we're going to loop through the cart contents like this. Alright, and we'll say as items, then we can use that items variable in here. And what you do have to have is an input, a hidden input with the name equal to this right here, alright, which is the row ID, and then the value will be this items row ID. So just make sure you have that in there. And there's more on this at the CodeIgniter documentation site, but then what we're doing is pretty much echoing out quantity, the items, yeah, the value is going to be the quantity, the name of the product, the price, and then down here it'll give us the total, Okay, so this cart format number and this cart total, which will give us the total. Alright, so let's see if that works. Save it, reload, and you can see that the item that we added is there. Alright, so let's say we want to add 2 Destiny games. Now you can see it's there. It has the price of the individual item along with the quantity, and then for the total it takes it takes 2, you know, whatever the quantity is, and adds all the products and comes up with the total. Now we can actually edit products in our cart block, so I can change this to 1 and then say update cart. Well, that actually we didn't set that yet. Let's do that now. So in our cart controller we want an update function, and this is actually a really simple function. Just paste that in, and this in cart here you can actually just kind of, I'm going to leave it there, but you can ignore it for now. It just has to do with if you're actually updating it from within this block or in the actual cart page, because if you're in this block, then it's going to redirect you wherever you are at that point. If you're in the cart and you update, you want to be still in the cart page. So that's what that's for. Just leave it for now. So we're taking all the post data and putting it into the data variable, and then we're passing that variable to the cart update function, and that'll update the cart for us, and then we're just going to kind of refresh the page. Alright, so let's save that, change this to 1, hit update, and now you can see there's only 1, and the price has also gone down. Now we have nothing on in our cart view, that's why there's nothing right here. So let's do that now. Alright, so let's go to cart view. This is in your views folder, and I'm actually going to paste this entire view in. Very similar to the HTML that we did in the UI section, but we have, first we're saying if this cart contents, so this is checking if there's anything in the cart. Alright, and then down here we'll say else there are no items in your cart. Alright, so if there's nothing in there, it's just going to give you this message. If there is, we're going to open a form. It's going to go to our process function in our cart controller, which we haven't created yet, which is kind of advanced, and I won't get to explain every single thing, but I'll have the code for you. And then down here we're just looping through cart contents just like we did in the sidebar. Alright, so it's essentially the same thing as what we're doing here. We just want it on the page. We are using the items variable to get things like quantity, the product name, things like that. Let's see, and then we have our shipping, which is going to be shipping and tax are going to be in a config file. That's why we're using this config object. Okay, so shipping, tax, and then total, and then we'll just have a we're going to have a form here for address, things like that, but it should only be shown if the user is logged in. That's why we have this session user data. We haven't done this yet. We haven't even created our user class. So I'm going to get rid of this for now, and we'll put that back in later. Alright, so let's see if the cart shows up. Alright, so there's our cart. You can see it has the games, has the quantity, price. It's nicely formatted, and if you're happy with that, then you'll move on to putting your address in, and you'll be logged in, so the system will already know your user ID, it'll know your name, it'll know your email, things like that, but unless you purchase a product, the system doesn't have your address. Alright, so that's why the form. So I think that's good for now. what we have to get into next is two major aspects. One is the PayPal, the processing, using the PayPal library, and then also users. We haven't created user registration or login functionality yet, so that's something that we will get into as well.